No one's perfect. If you stumble, you apologize, and you make it right. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, was not aware, nor complicit in those said allegations. So for me, it's back to work and attacking with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
That was former Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, who vehemently denies the allegations. Smoke, Michigan is on the hot seat again going into this football season.
Well, Reed, you said it. Michigan is on the hot seat because the guy that was on the hot seat last year, he took that train to the NFL, and he's now with the Chargers. He's denying everything like nothing even happened. But again, he's the one allowing everybody else to hold the bag while he's getting the bag. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh for getting ahead of this train.
He said, "You never tell on yourself, Smoke." Sam Webb, the publisher from the Michigan Insider, will join us to discuss the impact this will have on Michigan and first-year head coach Sherrone Moore. Why Smoke and I think this is unfair to Sherrone and the program. Welcome to Unfiltered. I'm your host, Carl Reed.
And I'm Smoke Dixon.
Guys, it's time to get unfiltered. Smoke, tell them why they need to tune in.
Two football guys unpacking the unfiltered truth about what's going on in today's college football ecosystem from the lenses of two former players, two former coaches, and your resident GM. See, Reed, let's get unfiltered, my man.
Carl Reed and Smoke Dixon, I'm spitting facts. Now let's hit some heated topics. Yes, it's time for group chat.
Smoke and I have decided to let you in our unfiltered group chats so you can see what trending topics we've been discussing throughout the week and let you know what's really going on in the world of college football. And for the first topic we will get into, addressing Sherrone Moore's possible NCAA sanction. Why Sherrone Moore's NCAA sanction is unfair. Smoke, Michigan received a draft notice of allegations from the NCAA on Sunday that included a level 2 charge against head coach Sherrone Moore. According to ESPN and the ongoing NCAA investigation, Moore faced potential penalties for deleted text messages he exchanged with Conor Stalions, collecting video footage of opponent signals. The draft also contains level 1 charges on former coach Jim Harbaugh, former linebackers coach Chris Partridge, and former recruiting staffer Denard Robinson. Let's bring in Michigan Inside publisher Sam Webb to go through some of this with us. Sam, welcome to the show. I know, me and Smoke been waiting on you all week, brother.
Man, I'm glad to be here. The great Kyle Reed. Been waiting to be on the show. Appreciate the invite. And my man, Smoke was making it hard on me. They had me on the 24/7 live show last week after Smoke. And I was like, oh, Smoke, you're killing me. So I'm glad to be on the show with
he
Smoke.
Was going to Michigan.
Been looking forward to it.
Well, here's the thing, fellas. I'm dressed appropriately. You guys understand that I'm a company guy, man. I'm a Michigan guy. I'm a Michigan guy through and through. Even I got on the blue.
You do. You look the part, man. You look the part. I'm impressed.
Well, we see you got your costume on. I know the people in Alabama going to be sending you a bunch of texts later. How does this sound? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, man, Court might be wearing the maroon and white right now, but you look underneath Court's shirt, I'm telling you, Court is still wearing the maize and blue. Don't let him fool you, Smoke. I'm just telling you.
No doubt.
Hey, I talk to Court all the time. He says every time we get off the phone, he says roll tide. Every time we get off the phone. So let's get into this. Let's unpack this a little bit, Sam. How does this impact Sherrone Moore?
So I don't really think it does, Carl, beyond having to deal with it on the recruiting trail. I think there is the immediacy of having to answer the questions from recruits and their parents about, hey, what are the implications here? Is this going to affect you this season? Procedurally, there is a process that comes with a notice of allegations, but Michigan hasn't actually received the notice of allegations yet. This was a draft. After the draft is supposed to be private. You receive a draft, you go over the draft, maybe there's some disputes or corrections that come with. You send those back to the NCAA and they make whatever corrections. Sometimes some things are resolved. And then they send you an actual notice of allegations. You have 90 days to respond. And then if you dispute that, there's a committee of infractions that you have a hearing with. This is a process that can linger on into the summer to determine a punishment. So the long and the short of it is, if there is a contested issue, we're talking about into the offseason. So if we are talking suspension or something more severe, it wouldn't even get to that process until into the summer of 2025. But I don't think it'll be that serious. Even if you talk to the people who wrote the article, like Pete Thamel, he said, I think it's going to be a big fine, which is what I was hearing. The folks at Michigan think this is one of those deals where the NCAA, in their zealousness to get out before this Netflix special, this Netflix special that Conor Stalions is going to have, that's what this is all about. They want to have their piece, their side of the story out there before he says his piece, because he hasn't been cooperating with the NCAA. They don't know what he's going to say, so they want to have their say before he does. That's what this is all about. So Sherrone is busy coaching his team, getting ready for the season. I don't think this is going to affect them this season, other than he has to make sure he gets out in front of this as much as he can with recruits.
Now, Sam, you said you don't believe it's going to affect them this season, but we all understand that when you have distractions, it's going to affect you in some way. How do you think this is going to impact their program, like, immediately?
Well, so, here's the thing, Smoke. They have experience with this. I mean, think about it. Last year, you missing your coach 3 games at the beginning of the season. Then you're in the meat of your schedule, and then you get hit with the Stalions piece. You get suspended. Your head coach gets suspended at the end of the season. Again, you got Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State, right? And this team weathered that storm like it wasn't a storm. So they're used to this. I know there are some new coaches that are learning to deal with it, but there are enough coaches and enough players that have been through it that I think they'll be fine. And I think there's a realization that this time around, the severity of the punishment won't be what it was last year. Because here's another difference, fellas. And I'm curious, I want to hear your take on it, because the national perspective is different. See, last year it was Michigan versus everybody. And I don't get that sense this time around. Everybody it's not just Michigan folks, it's Paul Feinbaum, it's Colin Cowherd, it's Pete Thamel, who wrote the article. Everybody is like, hey, man, the NCAA is like, this seems like a witch hunt. They're going all out on Michigan. This seems a little excessive. I don't think this is going to be a big-time punishment. Only folks who seem to think this is going to be something severe or should be something severe are Buckeyes and maybe some Spartans who aren't really relevant at this point. So I don't sense much in the way of distraction, other than, like I said, having to deal with it on the recruiting trail. I don't sense Michigan feeling like, oh my God, the hammer is coming. I sense more of the bigger chip right now is folks like my man Smoke thinking they're going to take a bunch of L's this year. It's like, oh man, y'all think didn't we just win a championship? And y'all thinking we won't even compete for the Big Ten championship this year? Damn, Smoke, give us a little bit of respect. I think that's the bigger chip this year.
Well, Carl, let me touch on it first.
He don't think that y'all gonna lose games because of this. He thinks that y'all don't have a good football team this year, Sam. So before he jumps in, let's address that first. What he thinks about y'all team has nothing to do with the allegations at hand. Go ahead, Smoke.
Well, listen, both of y'all is going there spreading false news about me again. I do believe you have the 4th best team in the Big Ten. That don't mean you're at the bottom. But Sam, I'm with you. At some point, enough's enough. Move on. You gave them the punishment last year. They dealt with it. They went through and they bust everybody up, including my Alabama Crimson Tide. The Buckeyes, they took care of you. So I'm with you. I don't know. I can't say it's a witch hunt because I don't have all the facts and evidence in front of me. But when you go through the process of dealing with the NCAA and they give you that suspension and they give you whatever your penalty is and you took your licks and kept on going, I think at some point you just got to say, okay, they've dealt with it and just move on. And all the naysayers, they handled y'all already. So, Sam, I'm with you on this, but I still think you still got the fourth best team in the Big Ten.
Well, let me lace y'all with a few. First of all, since we unfiltered, I do want to address just one big elephant in the whole room of this sign stealing thing, because you guys are players and coaches. The whole concept of sign stealing being undermining the integrity of the game is the biggest bunch of crap I think I've heard. I mean, in Little League, we were stealing signs. In Little League, are you kidding me? Undermining the integrity of the game. This is a part of the game. This is what people do. This is why you have people sending dummy signals. Fellas, I think we should use the words of the great philosopher Goldie. Have you guys seen the movie The Mac? Right? So if you go to a party, right? You go to the party and that man over there has a woman, right? And I'm going to the party to take that man's woman. That man should have a plan to guard his woman. And if he can't guard his woman, then that's that man's fault. He didn't put up a good guard. That's his fault. I'm trying to take that man's woman. That is my goal. He is supposed to play proper defense, right? So Goldie, he has come up with a good plan to steal that woman. This is how it works in football. Same concept applies. This is what sign stealing is all about. So all these coaches know that. They are taking advantage of people who don't know the game of football. Smoke and Carl, people know that this is a part of the game. What the hell is the problem? How has this become an issue? And then they take this whole thing about him being on the sideline at the Michigan State Central Michigan game. Fellas, he was not on the sideline of that game stealing signs for Michigan. He was not. It was a Friday night game. Michigan coaching staff didn't even know he was up at Michigan State. If Michigan had sent him to the game, think about this, fellas. Now, when we stole signs in Little League, we sat in the stands. We had to, of course, but it was the better vantage point. You get a chance to see the field, see everything. Of course, Michigan will want him in the stands if they sent him up there, not only for vantage point, but because all you coaches know the other team's sign stealer guys. That's why he was in disguise. But the fact of the matter is he was working on this for a long time. He had been scouting Michigan State for a long time. He got on the sideline, had a sideline pass. His boy was the quarterback coach for Central Michigan. He was on the sideline in the Central Michigan coaching gear. How do you know what coaching gear Central Michigan is going to be wearing that day? Unless they were in on it, unless they put you on the sideline. And then you're on the sideline with the coaches. I mean, what are you talking to them about? Of course, you're giving them the signs for all the help that it gave them. They lost the game. And before you say it's Central Michigan, Michigan State wasn't even that damn good last year. Didn't even help Central Michigan win that game. And lo and behold, what happened at Central Michigan last week? Did you guys hear what happened at Central Michigan last week? The quarterback coach got fired the day before the start of fall camp. Clearly, it wasn't about performance. Coaches who get fired for performance get fired after the season. Hell, they at least get fired before spring ball or after spring ball, not the day before fall camp. They asked the AD, hey, AD, did you fire because of the investigation? The AD said, well, we don't comment on the ongoing investigation. Seems awfully conspicuous to me. So again, Smoke, Carl, putting together the ones and the twos of it, seems to me the quarterback coach at Central Michigan got fired related to Conor Stalions, which is what we had been hearing, that Conor Stalions was up there stealing signs for Central Michigan. I rest my case, my brothers.
Now, Sam, if you were on Law and Order or Empire in a courtroom, you'd have a compelling case for what you just said. But my big thing is, what if Conor Stalions gets on the Netflix special and he just lays it all out? That could be a problem.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I hope I didn't use all my time because I really want to hear Smoke talk about why Michigan is going to take all these L's this season.
Well, we can touch on the L's, how they're going to take it this season. I already ran it down. But really, if we touch back on this, and you just ran and gave us some great information and how you think that Michigan's going to just handle all these allegations. And basically, all they've been doing is getting some written notices about what's supposed to happen or what's going to happen. A lot of hypotheticals. But we understand that in the way that you win in college football is in recruiting. Mm-hmm. How do you think all these allegations are going to affect the 2025 and even the 2026 recruiting class moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great question, Smoke. I think it is definitely something that they've had to address with the top remaining recruits on the board. A couple of the guys in the top 247 that are slated to make decisions in the coming weeks. You got a kid out of Kilgore, Texas, Jaden Sanders, who is slated to make his decision this week. It's Michigan, it's Oklahoma State, it's Baylor, I believe. I think Michigan is leading there. I still think they're going to get him. You got Andrew Marsh, a top 100 player, a top 10 receiver. It's Michigan, it's Oklahoma, it's USC, it's Texas. I mean, everybody in the country wants this young man. I think Michigan leads for him. Definitely thinks this is a topic that came up for him and his mom. I still think Michigan is trending there, and I still think Michigan is going to get him. The one that I think there's some slippage with is Andrew Babalola, the 5-star tackle, out of Kansas. He's just a big time prospect. I think it's Michigan and Stanford for him. I won't say that it's because of these allegations, but I do think that these allegations don't help. But I think it's been a tussle with Stanford already, and the fact you have something like this coming up at this time just makes things a little more difficult. So I would say if there's one guy that maybe this hurt you with the most, I would point to him, and he's the highest rated guy. I believe he's number 14 in the country. So he's going to be making a decision this month as well. He'd be the one that I would be the most concerned with. In 26, you got more time to deal with those guys. So I'll be less concerned about that. They got a guy who I think is going to be a 5-star quarterback in Brady Hart that can help them lock that class down. And by the time you're ready to kind of get that class fully committed, I think this will be rectified and resolved. So I'm not as concerned about 26 as I am about the 25 class. And a lot of guys are wrapping up their recruitment. So really, I think the rubber's meeting the road for a lot of those guys, and we'll find out what they're going to do, many of them this month, really in the coming weeks.
Well, Sam, listen, my man, you just gave us the whole entire rundown of what's really going on. And I know that you and Carl want to get back and talk about y'all Law and Order. So I'm going to go ahead and toss it back about that.
Well, one thing that I want to throw at you guys that maybe you can chew on as you continue to get unfiltered is, listen, one of the storylines for Michigan this season is what is the quarterback competition? And if it's Alex Orji, like, can he be consistent enough throwing the football for his outstanding athleticism to shine through? He, on the freaks list that Bruce Feldman comes up with every year, he was number 13 on the freaks list, and he might be underrated at number 13. He is a phenomenal athlete. If he can just throw it consistently enough, not JJ, but enough for that athleticism to shine through like it is in camp right now, man, that Michigan could be right back there, Smoke. And I know you know the Orgies. So that's something to look out for. And I know you know that family, so you know how special he can be as an athlete. It'll be interesting to see if he can be that special as a player. It's a difference between being a special athlete and being a special player. It'll be interesting to see if Alex Orji can be a special player for Michigan this season.
Well, Sam, we definitely going to be tuned in to Michigan. We want to thank you for coming on the show today. Guys, if you want to know all things Michigan football, you got to follow Sam Webb on Twitter, on Instagram. You got to check out his Michigan 24/7 Insider site for all things Michigan. He's a wealth of information, and he is the guy that really knows what's going on in Ann Arbor. Sam, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, fellas.
Smoke, Sam Webb came on here. He brought some heat today. I guess my thing would be, I do think he's right from a standpoint that this is much to do about nothing. The NCAA had all last season to deal with this, and they made a decision that this wasn't worth them pursuing on a deeper level, other than the suspensions they gave Harbaugh and a couple of the assistants throughout the season. Now they're circling back again, but I don't think they're going to do anything heavy here, Smoke. My only hope for Michigan is that Conor Stalions does not go on Netflix and just tear the roof off the building and present a whole nother layer of evidence. Hopefully he backs the school up.
Now, Reed, you know how people get once they leave a building. That man's not getting paid anymore. So you got to find a way how to generate some income for yourself. And you and I both know we come from the tabloid era. When you have an opportunity to air it all out, and Netflix is writing that check, like Sam said, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come up, and a lot of stuff that's being drummed up with it. But again, like he said, a lot of these are just allegations and notices that are just written to him. Nothing's come down to judgment. And like he just said as well, enough is enough. I think Michigan's been punished. They dealt with it, and they went through and won a national championship last year and showed everyone that regardless of what circumstances that you put in front of them, they can do their best to go ahead and just keep on trucking. Now, the interesting thing that he said now, Reed, when we touched on that recruiting, he does feel like recruiting is going to get touched a little bit. And the best recruit out there might go somewhere else just because the unknowing of what's going to happen moving forward. So this is where Coach Moore can get ahead of it. Tell everyone, hey, listen, just stick with us. We've been through this before. We've handled this. Now, we all understand this week down here in Nashville, everyone in regards of personnel and recruiting has been down here in Nashville getting some of this Nash Vegas love.
Smoke, you know it's time for us to throw our flags on the play this week if things don't sit right with us. Who are you throwing your flag on today?
Well, Reed, here's my flag. And even though it's matching my yellow and everything, I'm going to go ahead and throw the flag on anyone that's in personnel or recruiting that was not here in Nashville at the Recruiting Personnel Symposium. I went there on the first day, Reed, and just saw how many new faces that I've seen that's getting involved in recruiting and the personnel side. When I sat in some of those buzz sessions and met with some of those people, there's a lot of new rules that's going on. There's a lot of new scenarios that's being played out. And you and I both know we're trying to grow this profession in terms of personnel in college so that if you're not here receiving all this knowledge and education and helping your program moving forward, you just lost out maybe on the best opportunity to learn from some of the best. You had Brandon Harris there. Courtney Morgan was there doing a pretty good job at the GM Symposium. And we sat down, we got a ton of information. I know that you were there yesterday. Just want to see what you gathered from that and what, if any information you had to share, and what's your flag that you have to throw on anybody.
My flag on the play, and I mentioned this a year ago when I went last year, is to high school coaches that say they want to get their kids exposure. Every single personnel director and recruiting person in the country that you want to get your kids in front of so they can get offers and they can get recruited and evaluated was in Nashville yesterday. You had an opportunity to get your stuff to the director of player personnel, the director of recruiting, and the general manager, and build relationships that are going to help your kids get scholarships, especially as college football starts to go to a front office model. So, Smoke, I think for guys that are high school coaches that really care about their kids' recruitment, this is the place they need to be every year to truly bring some exposure to their kids. Smoke.
And Reed, I'm with you, bro. If you can't understand why you need to get into this, just show up. And I guarantee when you leave, you'll recognize that this is the truth and this is where we're going right now in college football.
Guys, no show this Friday, but please join us next week on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel on our new days, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central Time. Your hosts, Carl Reed and Smoke Dixon. You have just been Unfiltered.